This is very refreshing, Sherry. Thank you. L'chaim, or whatever they say. A salute. This is very refreshing. Smart move, Sherry. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States, New York City specifically. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchab Tarduling, a Tibetan Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City and northern New Jersey. And this is our twice-weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically a secular ethics course and a little bit of ethics in the universe in a single item, a little science, but the usual program. All the prayers we say are on the Tibet Center website. Go to the FAQ section and scroll down to prayers. If there's anyone you know who has passed away recently and you wish us to pray for him or her, put their names in the chat box before the class is over, so that at the end of the class, when we say Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels, people will see their names and remember them. So we'll start with prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West by our current director, Yongzhen Ling Rinpoche. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. From the Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination, and at the same time noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering and the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. So, Refuge in Bodhisattva Vow, the heading is Generating Bodhicitta. We say these verses 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Which brings us nicely to our little meditation poem to set our motivation. You can think about this as you for a few minutes. And when I'm taking this from a text called Finding Rest in the Nature of the Mind. It's the first volume of Longchenpa's trilogy. Longchenpa is like the Tibetan Tsongkhapats. It's the Lamrim, somewhat of it. It's a graded stage of practice, stages of practice for enlightenment. And here's the prologue. And we can think about this for a few minutes to set our motivation. Homage to Samantabhadra, the all-good, the ground of, it could be personified as a deity, but also the ground of reality, etc. Primordial Lord, vast unbounded ocean of unsounded depth, filled with qualities of wisdom and of love, wish-fulfilling wellspring of the Buddhas and their heirs, who send forth massing clouds of joy and benefit, to you I bow. And here we think of this. The spotless Dharmakaya, luminous and clear, is the Buddha nature of all beings. Yet, through their ignorance and clinging, they wander in the cycle of existence. In the wilderness of karma and defilement, they stray in weariness. Today, I will bring rest to their exhausted minds. So think about that for a minute. That's our motivation. That's why we come here. All right, so that's our motivation. Nothing other than that for the rest of our lives, plural. We take the Bodhisattva vow, it goes on, life after life. Monk's vow, nun's vow, it ends with this life. So I had a lecture by a lama, I forgot his name, that was a yellow hat lama, gay shape. We want to help all sentient beings. We can't do it as long as we're carrying around our defilements. All the little things that upset our mind, cloud our vision, stop our spiritual progress. So that's what we have to work on, which brings us to tonight's job. In the Beyond Religion section of the Beyond Religion text, the one we have been talking about. We finished last week with mindfulness, heedfulness, etc. This is His Holiness's text on secular ethics. In other words, what do you do for a person who has no religion, no belief, but wants to improve their life, wants to have answers to questions that naturally bother everyone if they manage to think about their mind for a minute. A lot of people don't. They don't go in. So we're in the ethics section. And he's saying to live ethically day by day, you need to have an active, mindful outlook on life, not forgetting what you're doing. If you, especially remembering. What are you remembering? Remembering your vow or your wish to help all sentient beings. And then you realize behaving in sloppy ways, unethical ways, is not going to help sentient beings. It's not going to help you. To help yourself, to develop your mind, you have to start to be the boss. Not it going all over the place and impulse here, impulse there, do this, that. So you have to have some control. You can't do it all at once. You have to ease yourself into this carefully, but definitely. It's the task for your own benefit. Then, after a while of some practice like this, more happiness happens in your mind, and you then naturally continue. You don't have to force yourself. There's more space. You don't react quickly. You're not out of the woods at all, but you're on your way. So with mindfulness, awareness, and heedfulness, we can, this is on page 111. Ethic of virtue. If through mindfulness, awareness, and heedfulness we can manage to refrain from harming others in our everyday actions and words, we can start to give more serious attention to actually doing good. And this can be a source of great joy and inner confidence. The benefits immediate. Great joy, inner confidence. Oh, I could do this. I helped. I'm good. And of course, when you do a good thing, recall it. Make it heavier, heavier, heavier in your mind stream. That adds its merit. It builds it up. You already did it. You know, that was a good thing I did. No, I'll never forget that. It was a good thing I did. Nothing wrong with that. You're not showing off. You're talking internally. Nobody's in the, so that makes the merit stronger and stronger. And it changes your character, because every time you bring it up, you're affecting the mind. So that's a simple way of improving yourself without going crazy. You can do that, lying back.
You always recall what Momo chanted.
That
brings a lot
my
of
whole life.
blessing every time.
Every time you think of that, what a lama said, or the prayers that you heard, or something that runs in your mouth, or like that, that's helpful. And a lot of things we don't know are going on. The mantra recitation, the prayers, they go to the subtle levels of mind that we're not aware of now. We're not yogis. But they work on that level. Slowly, how did that happen? Why am I, you have to have confidence in this. And the first way to have confidence is scope it out. It's logical, it's helpful. There's no hidden agenda here. There's nothing. Yeah, go ahead. What? Bring more up? Yeah, why not? What are you going to think about? I'll get him. Oh, yeah, what? And why do they always do that? I'm sick and tired of all that. Is that going to help you? No. You're going to reach for the Haagen-Dazs for relief or something, or whatever. Or whatever your roots. I don't know, Frankfurters. Who the hell knows what people eat now? Smoothies. With everything in them. Some of these solid objects in a smoothie doesn't work. No. So we can benefit through actions, warm and generous, etc. A smile. You could try this. We did it once before. You sit still for a second, and then you're by yourself. I mean, not here, but Pay attention to the sides of your mouth and begin to mentally crack a smile. See what happens in your mind. Just you don't go. Just you're about to smile. Something underneath. You bring it up that way. Try it in a crowd as you look at someone. They'll smile back. So there's things going on. Yeah, and normally, I wouldn't try it on the subway, but normally, it changes the mood, changes the atmosphere. You're going to speak to someone, ask somebody at the desk, hi, before you even say, hello, how are you today? Just convey silently what you have inside. You really care about that person? They've got a job and struggling like you? Okay. Let them subliminally know that. You'll see it helps. If it doesn't, then come in and throw me out the window. It's not my advice. His Holiness also said smile many times. Just smile. It doesn't cost you. Yeah. So he's saying we could be generous and warm with people, being charitable by helping those in need. Therefore, simple thing, when misfortune befalls others or they make mistakes, rather than responding with ridicule or blame, we must reach out and help them. This happens in everyday life, especially at work. What an idiot. Hey, don't make snide remarks. The person goofed. The person may feel, don't worry about it. Come to their rescue, Benefiting others through our speech includes praising others, listening to their problems, and offering them advice and encouragement. Sometimes you hear with the Buddhist teachings that students rather think they know. Someone, someone had an accident. Oh, it's his karma. Yeah, that's nice. Write it off so you don't have to have any responsibility for your friend. That's not what karma is. Karma doesn't judge, as Nikki always says. It explains. It doesn't judge. To help us bring benefit to others through our words and actions, it's useful to cultivate an attitude of sympathetic joy in others' achievements and good fortune. This female Lhasa Lama, Palden Lama, one of the biggest says, I know a practice you could do lying in bed, admiring others' good deeds. Seriously. Oh, they gave all that to him. That's wonderful. Oh, he's giving a big offering. I wish I could do that. What he's doing an offering, showing off. No. Very good. They did this. So, sympathetic joy, and say somebody wins something or they're happy or they got a promotion, share their joy. Get into that mind. Hey, congratulations. I wish you the best. I'm like, you walk away feeling better, and then if they have refreshments, you could feel even better. The attitude is a powerful antidote against envy, and that's what we're working on now. That's the thing. It's an antidote against envy. Do you feel happy when you're envious? Who does? I mean, some people like to feel miserable, I guess. I don't know. It seems, but no. And the worst of the worst, don't export your envy to your friend or someone, with teaching sushi. No, shut up. Which is not only a source of unnecessary suffering, which it is, on the individual level, but also an obstacle to our ability to reach out and engage with others. Tibetan teachers often say that such sympathetic joy is the least costly way of promoting one's own virtues. So that's it. The main point, then he brings it out at the last percent, envy. It's a guard against envy. And if you bring up the habit of somebody gets promoted or anything good or they do something well, share the joy. Don't start saying, well, they did, I got to do it, I wish I could. No, just get into it. Now, the ethic of altruism, still on 111, we're at the bottom section, if you're keeping score. Altruism is a genuinely selfless dedication of one's actions and words to the benefit of others. That's sort of like a definition, if you like definitions. A genuinely selfless dedication, in other words, it's not selfish, of one's actions and words to the benefit of others. All the world's religious traditions recognize this as the highest form of ethical practice. The highest form of ethical practice, altruism. And in many, it is seen as the main avenue to liberation or to unity with God, those who have theistic religion. So now we go to page 112. It's chock full of information, and then we're going to really cross the river into some heavy territory. But through on page 112, but through But though a complete and selfless dedication to others is the highest form of ethical practice, this does not mean that altruism cannot be undertaken by anyone. Be careful. Can you do it or not? Build yourself up. I mean, altruism, where like some people work day and night and all that, you may not be able to do that. You know. In fact, many people in caring professions, such as social work and healthcare, and also those in teaching, are involved in the pursuit of this third level of ethics, altruism. Such professions, which bring direct benefit to the lives of so many, are truly noble. Nurses, healthcare workers, all the. Yet there are countless other ways in which ordinary people can and do lead lives which benefit others. What is required is simply that we make serving others a priority as best you can. You could think of many ways. Hi. Ni hao. So you could think now, what could you do? Someone down in your building that needs help, little things, pick up something from the store for them, all these little things, but make it a priority to, in your life, to do as much as you can and don't stress yourself out, because then you're not going to do a good job and you're going to start resenting things until you're mature enough spiritually. So these practices depend on a stronger and stronger mind that's not started to discard all this self-concerns, and it's noble, and that's it. And don't forget to dedicate. That was a good job I did. Don't forget to dedicate for the benefit of Buddhahood, for the benefit of all sentient. Put it in the bodhicitta bank, which is the ocean, you know. Water in a glass, we say this 10,000 times, will evaporate eventually. Water in the ocean, that's it. So think that way with your merit. An important part of serving others, same page 112, last paragraph, is using discernment to assess the likely consequences of our own actions. Very good. In Buddhism, Shantideva always says, well, before starting a task, examine it. Can I do it? Can I do it well? Can I complete it? And think, so that you don't jump in and lose heart or do something stupid, or you don't have the equipment, you didn't realize what the task entailed. So that's very important. That's in everything we do, for especially a big job. You know, let's build a temple. Let's do this. Can we do it? What is required? The preparation work is most important, and that goes way back to Shantideva, and I'm sure before that. And he was what, the 8th century? That's a while ago. So, assess the likely consequences of our own actions, role play in your mind, etc. Then, by being heedful, mindful, and attentive in our everyday lives, we will begin to gain mastery over our actions and words. So this is a natural, active thing we have to do. It's not a natural thing that just comes to us and we sit there. No, we have to make effort, as is always, must make effort all the time. It requires effort. Bring it up, stay with it, take your time. No one's watching, there's no timeline or anything, but it has to be continuous. Rinpoche is very important, continuous. A little bit a day, continuous is better than 2 hours here, then another week, and 2 hours then. No. Little bits, and it becomes part of your natural life. This is the very foundation of freedom, and it is through gaining such self-mastery, and using it to ensure that our actions are non-harmful at every level, that we can start to actively work for the benefit of others. Problems with this? Because we're going to go into very strange territory now. Very tough, but it's necessary. As we said at the beginning, we can't help sentient beings if we're carrying around afflictions. We can't help ourselves. Forget sentient beings. No. But that's it. So, any problems, questions? We'll go to the next chapter. If not, are you ready? Please fasten your seatbelts. Fasten your straitjacket. Dealing with destructive emotions. Dealing with destructive emotions. What are they destroying? Yours and everyone else's peace of mind. That's what they're doing. And what's more important than peace of mind? So if you need motivation, there it is in 2 seconds. If, His Holiness says, as I have suggested, the key to human happiness lies in our own state of mind. Remind yourself that's where happiness is. It's not in an object. It's not in another person. It's in your own state of mind. If you don't believe me, try it out. You have a mind. Go home and try it on. So too do the primary obstacles to that happiness. Okay. So in our mind, we have the obstacles to happiness. Bad news. That's where the problems are. Not in the guy across the street who makes noise or this and that, or in our own mind. So, we have fleas here. No, what do we have? We have some kind of bug. Get out of here. Without a doubt, the greatest impediments to our individual well-being and our ability to live a spiritually fulfilling life are our own persistent propensities towards destructive or afflictive emotions. Persistent propensities, the natural ability to flow along with them. It's easy to do that. Yes, it's hard to go against the tide, but why? Because for lives and lives and billions of lives, whatever, we were in that mode, always acting on impulsive things that are not good for us, you know? So the real enemies of human happiness, the ultimate source of all destructive human happiness, are these emotions, destructive emotions. Tackling these negative emotions is an important goal of ethical and spiritual practice. It's an essential goal that you don't get anywhere with them. You can't take them around with you. Get them out of your house. You don't want those tenants in your apartment. Think of it that way. So the next paragraph says, but before offering some practical suggestions as to how we might go about dealing with these destructive tendencies and reducing their grip on our daily habits and behavior, I must first address the question of whether this is a realistic goal. Just as he said in the last chapter, before you do something, check it out. Now he's telling you, is this a realistic goal? I don't know. And he's going to present a nice ping-pong argument here. Do we human beings actually have the ability to change ourselves from within? So the next section says, the possibility of self-improvement. He answers in the affirmative, boys and girls. The world religions have long, this is still on 113, the last 2 lines. The world religions have long recognized that we humans have the capacity to change from within. Ta-da! That's good news. From within. We don't have to buy anything, we change with it from within. But in a purely secular context, without a religion now, demonstrating the reality of this capacity can be challenging. Because sometimes a religion has a lot of force behind it and people sort of go along even though they don't believe, they feel good about being in the company of religious people, etc. But what about a person who has no religion? We have to have compassion towards everyone. So His Holiness says, a committed materialist, for instance, may argue that we are completely determined by biology, or to use a contemporary phrase, we are hardwired in certain ways. Yeah, we're going to get mad. We're going to do this. That's natural. And that's the argument of the day. You could just, read any newspaper, whatever. That's a certain assumption people are making who don't know. In such a view, some people are determined by nature to be angry. Yeah, that's their nature. He's angry, that's all. Leave him alone. No. You can leave them alone, but not those impulses in yourself. While others are naturally more inclined towards kindness, some are genetically disposed to be optimistic, while others have an innate propensity for depression. Are they stuck in those modes? Given that many of our character traits do seem to be inherited, and that afflictive emotions like anger, hatred, and jealousy are part of our nature, quote, but not the deepest nature, it may also be right that there is nothing we can do about them. Yeah, suppose he's going right to the other side and giving us a strong argument. So we may feel perhaps it really is impossible to change the mental dispositions we are born with. Do we feel that way? Well, I'm talking to the choir here because everybody came here for the purpose of that. They came to a place. And this is not the religion of the land. People some of the Westerners had to make a decision that, maybe there's something there. So we believe that, but Well, he says, if there really were nothing we could do about our emotions, we would truly be slaves to them. Yes. Do you think this is true? I mean, you don't want to get angry, but you do. You don't want to feel depressed, but you do. So we're slaves to them. So we have to throw them out. Overturn. This is liberation. Real liberation. However, evidence is gradually emerging from science, and he's giving it the secular point now, because he's talking to people that suspicious of religion. So, from science, especially psychology and neuroscience, to suggest that it is possible to achieve meaningful change in our emotional and behavior patterns through conscious effort. Conscious effort. You have someone, Darren? Oh, I see. We have a question from Taramantra himself. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for a generous prayer about things that matter. May we all stop seeing things established by way of their own entity, independent of an imputing mind. Well, we're not on the emptiness section yet, Jeff. We're going through His Holiness's methods. We have to do that. Yes, for those Buddhists in the crowd, imputing mind. We project what's out there. You know. In the meantime, for those who are just getting started or those who have no religion, who have no idea what imputing is, even though they do it every 10 seconds, whatever. Yes. Jeff, I hope you're all right. I hope Lori's all right and everybody there. Stay healthy and give my regards to all the dogs. He lives in Connecticut with a bunch of dogs, and a very nice woman, Lori, who's been ill for a while, now is getting better, we hope. All right. So conscious effort, we just can't sit there and lay back and let it happen. It's all natural, man. No, it's not. You have to make an effort, and you do it in small bites, because if you take a big bite, you're going to get sick. Slowly, be nice to yourself and watch what's going on. Why did I do that? What's this? Okay. Of course, as I have said before, I myself am no scientist. This is His Holiness saying. Nevertheless, for many years I've been discussing these issues with experts, and he gets around to the world, and the best Nobel scientists come to his conferences, and he gives all that information back to us. From these conversations, it seems that the recent discovery of what is called brain plasticity, now this book's about 10, 12 years old, but it was around then. And brain plasticity meaning what? May well offer us scientific explanation for the possibility of meaningful change. What does that mean? You can change the very makeup of the brain, its habitual patterns, by conscious thought. He'll explain. Researchers have observed that the patterns and structures of the brain can and do change over time in response to our thoughts and experiences. The physical working on the screen changes in response to effort from our part. So we have the reins. We have more control than we think. We're in the human realm. No wonder they make a big deal about it. A human birth with access to the Dharma, access to good thinking, enough to eat, the whole schmear. So always be thankful for that situation you're in. Thinking that way gives you confidence. Instead of saying, oh, everything happens to me, I'm tired. No. So, moreover, he says on the bottom of page 114, scientists are now able to observe the interaction between those parts of the brain associated with higher cognitive activities, such as rational thought, in the prefrontal cortex, and those parts known as the limbic system, including the almond-shaped and ever-popular amygdala. The almond-shaped amygdala, the unsalted almond-shaped amygdala. I'm making a joke to keep people awake, myself too, which are associated with our most primitive instinctual and emotional reflexes. So he's showing you the rational thought we have, let me think of this, and the emotional response that's not, it's instant almost. So instinctually puts it there, emotional reflexes. That's the amygdala's purview. These advances in neuroscience have prompted many scientists to give serious attention to the idea that through our own conscious efforts, we may be able to train our emotional instincts by literally altering the physical patterns in our brain. You can cure your depression, which starts with little thoughts like that, builds up and becomes a movement. Conscious effort. University of Pennsylvania said these little negative thoughts build into these overwhelming moods where you're depressed and you don't want to eat and all that. It starts with this. So reversing it, you start with no, as much as you can, and be persistent over time, and not that much time because you've been miserable for lives probably. You'll change things around, religion or no religion. You don't need a lama in your house or whatever. You're on your own, which is a big point, by the way. You are on your own. You're your own teacher. The Buddha himself said, I can't take your problems from you. I can teach you how to do it yourself. That's it. So don't come crying to me. Leave me alone. No, he didn't say that. But I would, being a nasty person. So that's the point. Don't lose sight of that. Other religions have that too. Some of them, their leaders, they say he's not a deity, he's the prophet. Muhammad, Islam says that, He's not Allah. And Allah could be a person, Allah could be the ground reality. It's very interesting. Research in this area is still quite new. This is 12 years ago. It's progressed from what I hear. Different bars and, around the city. No. But it seems to me that it may potentially provide the committed materialist with grounds for a hope as strong as the faith of the religious believer. Always thinking of the poor person who has no religion, doesn't care. He wants to benefit them. That's a beacon that's going out to everybody, like the sun. What could we do about those people? He's showing them. They all have minds. They could look at them and they could see and do something. Oh, now that I do this, I don't have these recurring thoughts of jumping out the window. I'm burlesquing it, but that's the thing. Always this Dalai Lama thinks of everyone, just as he says. The world of our emotions. A feature film. Interesting. This is on page 115. Interesting. Anyone have to say anything? Complain? Ask for the score of the baseball game, whatever? Nothing? Okay. You have any questions, complaints, comments to make? So I can go.
Well, it's not for this book,
Right.
but practice without trying to change the mind changes it automatically.
Practice without trying to change the mind still changes the mind. That's what you're saying. Yes, I would agree. Trains of thought.
Yeah.
And trains of thought coming from sincere, selfless, maybe very high people. Why not jump on that one? Why not get on that train of thought?
Right. I mean, it seems that when I read this earlier, I thought, oh, this was a perfect opportunity for him to say something. And he opted not to because it's beyond religion.
Yes. Yeah.
But to me, it was integral to my mind changing.
And this is a big point you brought out, the biggest of the night. Practice is for changing your mind. It's not just to remember and this and that and argue back in class. It's to take it home and change the very mind of you. That's the truth that a lot of people jump over, good people. You realize it's medicine and you got to take it and it does change. What do you think? All those years chanting with Eddie Tung, it made you better. It made all of us better. It made the whole place better.
My whole life.
Totally teach.
Yeah. My wife was dying now. She heard those prayers. I have such confidence in Buddhism. I'm sure that you got on the phone. She's like chanting now. She put it to her ear and listened. So it does work. It works. Ladies and gentlemen, it works. News from the front. So you brought up a big point. Most part. Good luck to you. Thank you. I don't know if you heard it. So In the world of our emotion, the classical Buddhist science of mind in which I am trained, there's no concept of emotion. Isn't that funny? In the classical Buddhist science of mind in which I am trained, His Holiness says, this is middle of 115, there's no concept of emotion as a single category that precisely corresponds to the understanding of emotion in contemporary Western psychology. Indeed, there's no word in either Sanskrit or classical Tibetan that exactly translates the word emotion. So what do we do? What do we gather together and tag with the word emotion? There's a lot to be said here. Sometimes they say afflictive emotions, but I don't know. You'd have to qualify, because some emotions like laughter aren't afflictive. Instead, all mental states are understood to include both cognitive and feeling dimensions to some degree. I think, I don't know if you do, but in the West, emotion sort of connotes feeling. It was very emotional. I cried. All right. He was out of hot dogs, I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. It seems to be. That's the way we take the word in and act on it. Somewhat. Actors are told to emote. All mental states are understood to be both cognitive feeling, have both cognitive thinking and feeling dimensions together, and to contain five omnipresent mental factors. Now he's giving you straight Buddhism right out of the bottle. This is it. To which feeling is one. So there are 5 things always present in the ongoing conventional mind. We could say, I don't know, regular, ordinary, everyday mind. Feeling, discrimination, volition, attention, and contact. Now that's a whole subject in Tibetan Buddhism, Lo Rega, whatever. But at the same time, it may not be blaring, but it's there. Emotions of, there's feeling and discrimination and volition, attention, and of course contact, whatever the subject is. You're contacting a thought, you're contacting a thing coming at you, whatever, contact. The other 4 are discriminating, yeah, we got that. So even a cognitive mental process, as simple as counting from 1 to 10, is regarded as having some kind of feeling or feeling tone. This is a very different way of looking at the mind that Tibetan Buddhism brings to the table, or classic Indian Buddhism, rather. So, I'll say it again, even a cognitive mental process as simple as counting from 1 to 10 is regarded as having some kind of feeling or feeling tone, which naturally is related to context, the way you look at it, etc., and so forth. But there's something there. Now, these people sat there quietly and really looked at what's going on in their mind, and you could too. Is this guy full of baloney here, or is it something plant-based that's very healthy? No, examine and see if, children sometimes like to count because they feel happy. They say, some reason, right? Your kids, there's some feeling tone there. There are various ways of categorizing. There are various ways of categorizing our emotional states. For instance, in contemporary psychology, the main distinction is often drawn between emotional states which, on the one hand, are pleasurable or joyful and are described as positive, and those which, on the other hand, are unpleasant or painful and are described as negative. What's the criteria there? Feeling. Remember that one from a long time ago? Ay. But that's very interesting. Their way of looking at the mind, that's why concentrating on the main things, subliminally, we're getting a lot of little hints about how to work with the mind. In classical, I'm on page 116 now, the second chapter, second paragraph. I'm all right, doctor. In classical Buddhist psychology, however, the distinction is rather different. Instead, the primary distinction is not between these states which are pleasurable and those that are painful, but between those that are beneficial and those that are harmful. A different worldview. And of course, you might, if you're an academic, it's soteriological, it's better for your salvation. But here, so he's saying in classical Buddhist psychology, it's not feeling good or feeling bad. It's what is pleasurable, not pleasurable or painful, but what's beneficial or harmful in the long run. Don't forget this, in the long run. It might hurt to get an injection. In the long run, it's going to save you so much pain. So you can't say that's painful, that's no good, put that in the bottom, put that in the garbage. No. Afflictive mental states are known as myonmong in Tibetan or klesha in Sanskrit, are those which undermine our long-term well-being. And there's the criteria. What's good in the long run? Rich always use the word in the long run. In the long run. You remember them saying things like, while non-afflictive mental states are those which have no such destructive impact. So, and he'll explain now, given these different ways of categorizing emotional experience, it is important now for reason not to confuse those emotions which are afflictive, that is to say, harmful to our long-term well-being, with those which simply don't feel good. So don't carry on the criteria here. We should really, what feels good may not be good in the long run. And I think we all know this, right? We really know this. That's why we mostly came here. So, of course, sometimes these overlap. Feelings of hatred, for example, are both destructive, and he's giving you tantra here subliminally, you don't understand it, but listen. Feelings of hatred, for example, are both destructive and unpleasant to experience, but there can also be experience which may not be pleasant but can nevertheless be beneficial. And the same way there can be feelings that are pleasant which nevertheless can be destructive. Drug highs, etc., and so forth, alcohol. For instance, feelings of sadness, grief, and remorse are certainly not pleasurable, but they need not in themselves be afflictive, because sometimes understanding the sadness makes you more alert, aware of the human situation. And in the long run, it's better. And by the way, you're going to meet certain things like death, and you're going to come into contact with grief, whether you like it or not. That's the nature of the samsaric existence we have. So you might as well put it to good use. Let it waken you up to like everything isn't all blaring neon and happiness, Let's get out of this place. So that's and get others out too, not just us. When faced, say, with the death of a loved one, feelings of grief and sorrow may actually be quite constructive. How? In helping us come to terms with our loss and move on with our lives. In the same way, emotions which may initially seem pleasurable can nevertheless be destructive at a deeper level by undermining our mental peace and stability. One example might be lust, or excessive longing for a particular object. I must have that Lamborghini. Such longing may in some sense seem pleasurable. Yeah, I'm gonna get that, that's it, yeah. Do you like the tension between wanting something and not having it? I don't know, some people like it. That's disgusting, it's not happy. But we have to be careful. Wanting like a good job, wanting to do something good in the world, that's good, that's not afflictive desire, but that's good desire. But eventually obsessive craving, and there's the word, obsessive craving will erode our capacity for genuine contentment and undermine our mental equilibrium, and therefore should be considered destructive. So here's 3 lines that should make us very happy to hear. Obsessive craving will erode our capacity for genuine contentment. When we recognize it, this isn't good in the long term. Yeah, I like, it's very exciting to think about this or that, but hold on, it keeps coming up, come on. It's blocking a lot of other information we could have coming in. There's some ways you deal with yourself. And should therefore be considered destructive. Mental equilibrium is where our happiness comes up. Like you have to have a very well-plowed field to get a good crop. We have the equanimity of mind, or equilibrium in our mind, balanced. At that time, there's room for our natural Buddha nature to come up. It doesn't come up when it's blocked by, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. I hate him, I hate her. Get rid of that, and then what happens? Naturally, without you having to go grab something, good things start to come up. Allow them to grow. It's that kind of process. Otherwise, they wouldn't use the metaphor of plowing the fields, fertilizing, getting rid of the, with confession and stuff like that. So it makes sense. Especially when you try it and get good results, moderate results, something better than before. That's all we're looking for. Today, better than yesterday. In the context of secular ethics, again, he's helping those, this distinction between mental states which undermine well-being, our own and that of others, and those which promote survival and well-being can be very useful, since it is directly relevant to our pursuit of happiness and an ethically sound way of life. Yes, it is. And again, everything starts in the mind. From the argument on the street to the battles in the Ukraine, Darfur, the Middle East, whatever, starts in the mind. The mind, which is not physical, is running the whole show. Change your mind, teach others to change theirs, and then this stuff doesn't happen anymore. Given that people come from many different backgrounds and cultures, which states are to be considered destructive and which are to be considered beneficial may vary in particular cases. Generally speaking, we can define destructive emotion as those states which undermine our well-being by creating inner turmoil. And now you'll know by yourself, the feeling doesn't feel good. It's inner turmoil. So, thereby undermining self-control and depriving us of our mental freedom. You are torturing yourself with these things. So, very important just to get together with your mind a few minutes a day, clear it out, relax and think and see what's going on in there. That's all. Never mind, I got to do 40 of these, I got to do that, I should visualize it. Just to get a balance and then go on from there. You'll see, it helps. And deprives you, you want your mental freedom. You don't have that, you have nothing. Within this, it is also possible to distinguish between two categories. Those emotional states that are destructive in themselves, such as greed, hatred, malice, and those states such as attachment, anger, or fear, which only become destructive when their intensity is disproportionate to the situation in which they arise. This should shock you now. He's saying sometimes attachment, anger, or fear isn't that destructive. A very realistic viewpoint. From a biological perspective, all our basic emotions evidently have evolutionary purposes. What? For example, attachment helps bring us together and enables us to create bonds. Anger helps us repel forces that are detrimental to our survival and well-being. Fear enables us to respond to a threat with vigilance. And envy prompts us to compete with others so that we do not overlook our own needs. That's a bit of a stretch, but I'll take it. Scientists have demonstrated that these basic emotions have clear biological dimensions. Someone else is messaging me. Oh, well. It's not coming. You get it, Darren, or just I got it?
Just you.
Oh, all right. Well, just me, just you. It's a jazz song. I'll look later. When we face an immediate danger, for instance, and fear arises, extra blood rushes to our legs, and with increased adrenaline and our hearts beating faster, the emotion of fear literally prepares us to flee. Blood comes to your legs, adrenaline runs, and you take off. The fear of flight response, right? Something like that. In contrast, when anger rises, more blood goes to our arms, preparing us to confront the threat. So the important point to bear in mind is that these feelings are not destructive in themselves. They become destructive only when their intensity is out of proportion to the situation or when they arise in situations that do not call for them. As for attachment, which after all is the feeling that holds families and communities together, we do not usually think of it as destructive. However, when this basic emotion becomes excessive and wants to control its object, it does become destructive. Anger bangs through the door, when it's in you. Attachment, very friendly. It sits down, brings you something to eat. But it also has a good component attached to your family, attached to, well-being of the community. That's nothing wrong with them. Without desire, the human race would cease to exist altogether. In fact, desire is the emotion that drives many of our day-to-day activities, from getting up in the morning to eating, working, and pursuing our immediate long-term goals in life. Similarly, anger is not always destructive. For example, in some situations, strong compassion may give rise to an equally strong sense of outrage. That is anger about an injustice. Again, feeling angry can, in short term, make our minds more focused and give us an extra burst of energy and determination. In these ways, anger can, in certain situations, is very qualified now, make us more effective in getting things done and obtaining what we rightly seek. However, when anger extends beyond this practical function, most of the energy it brings is not helpful at all, since all of us probably have at one time or another been on the receiving end of other people's anger. We have all experienced its unpleasant consequences. So we will leave it at that. But anger does have a focus, and it has more energy than a force. But anger usually misjudges its object. 95. Now, we're not talking about hatred. Anger here is different than hatred. Hatred makes you 95% project that person's review. They don't like that person. It's 95% your projection. Jeff Allen, hear that? It's true. I think Ekman said that, one of the psychologists. It's true. Anything this person ever did is terrible because you don't like them at this point. They could have donated a kidney. Who cares? Yeah, it's a piece of... That happens, you know. But he's giving you something, a hint of what's to come, how anger is used at certain levels. And we'll leave it at that because we have to do our prayers and get out of here in time. New York is crazy now because the UN General Assembly's in. Biden was around in the neighborhood, I heard.
Yeah.
Yesterday, at the Ukrainian Center. There was a Ukrainian neighborhood right next to us here, 7th Street, and all those pierogi restaurants and stuff are there. No. So, do we have names? I want names.
No.
Then we don't have names. Just pray for this Sutra of the Recollection of Noble Three Jewels. We pray for people who have died, all the people who have died in the turmoil over the world. So we could spin the robe, spin the robe, spin the globe. Place your finger. There's probably conflict within 100 miles, criminality. People dying, but the big places, as we see, Congo, Darfur, Ukraine, Middle East, south side of Chicago, the South Bronx, we can go on. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, the present, and the future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great jnana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberated from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivable, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And now prayer for a swift return to our teacher, Rato Chungla Rinpoche, written by His Holiness Dalai Lama. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuan, Dorje Chan. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet, you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled, supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tenpe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakal, Karmayama, and Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors. May you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight day. So, I'm a little upset because in 2 weeks, I think, will be the last class here. They're closing this building, they're selling it. We've been here 12 years, so we're actively looking for another space for Tuesday night class or Monday night class, whatever it is, in Manhattan. We're looking to have a physical presence in Manhattan. In the meantime, we will have 2 online presentations. They'll both be from New Jersey if we have to, but we're actively looking for a space. And our next class will be tomorrow night from New Jersey. It'll be online. So, anybody here, is there any space available for rent, classroom space, rentable by the hour in Lower Manhattan specifically? Let us know. Text Darren Smith or email him. Thank you for your patient listening. Big love to all of you.